You are Locked On Chargers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, man. Holy cow, Batman.
What a game.
Welcome to the Locked On Chargers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is finally over. Thanks for listening and watching. You can download us wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA, dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. He is Kenyon Barner, Oregon Duck Hall of Famer, three-time Super Bowl champion, and probably played in games like this, which has to be quite the experience. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about, really, I don't know, are we going to talk about the first half at all? I mean, I guess we have to get into it a little bit, but I also want to get into Herbie's day because he had a great day for the most part. It looked great in the beginning, but then it kind of went south, and then he got it back again. We'll also talk about the defense, which looked great in the beginning and then kind of fell apart and then got it back again. And then we'll talk about what was comforting about the receivers. I want to pat myself on the back a little bit. As I told you last week, I've told you probably many times, I always attempt when I do a hit in Kansas City before every football game on one of the sports radio stations there. So they always ask me at the end of the hit, what's the prediction on this game? I predicted this one at 33-28 Chargers.
Okay.
So I want to say that's as close as I've ever gotten. That was and I'm all, this is going to be a weird one. And it was just wow. I mean, I felt like this, Kenyon, in the second half was, you take it. No. Really? You take it.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody wanted it.
God, it was both good and bad and pretty and ugly. And I feel, look, it's a great win for the Chargers because had they lost this game, we'd all be talking about them chargering right now. So they kind of, get over on themselves, if you will. But the Bengals had their chances. Two missed field goals that they make one of those, they win this game. So you got to feel a little bit bad for them. But at the same time,
No, you don't. You don't have to feel bad for them. No. You don't make somebody else's. No, right? You don't make somebody else's problem your problem. Not at all. That's their problem. No, we good on this side.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's all about what happens at the finish line, I guess. There was a lot to feel good about today in this game for 2.5 quarters. The third quarter just went south for the Chargers, giving up 2 touchdowns. And the Bengals really got it rolling, and Jamar Chase was looking like Jamar Chase. Exactly.
Looking like Jamar Chase.
So easy. And then Higgins also, just those passes in the third quarter, that the back-to-back touchdowns that got it back to tied for them really were easy, wide open. I mean, I don't know. Tell me about this 2 deep safety thing, because they talked about it a fair amount on the broadcast, and they were like, the Chargers are sticking with this 2 deep safety thing. I mean, I know what it is, but it gives the opposition the opportunity to just run the ball. And the Chargers were like, yeah, go ahead, run the ball down our throat and we're good. And, ultimately, I guess it worked, but it seemed like the point of it was not playing out the way that you would expect, because not only were the Bengals able to run the ball pretty easily, they were also finding receivers wide open. A lot of that had to do with the double team of Jamar Chase that left Higgins on a single team. And Cam Hart left the game early, even though he's a rookie. He's been playing really well. So
he's
that was
phenomenal. He's been lights out.
Yeah. So that was working against the Chargers as well. But what was your thought on that 2 deep safety call from them?
I didn't mind it just because you have T. Higgins and you have Jamar Chase, so you have to be more mindful of the passing game, because that is the Cincinnati Bengals strength. That's what they're known for. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. That's what this team is known for. They're known for being able to get the ball downfield, put up major numbers in the passing game. And it's not necessarily been their running game that has propelled them at all this season or in years past. So you have to go off of who they are. So when you have a guy like Jamar Chase and you have a guy like T. Higgins, I need all the help over the top that I can possibly get, because I can't allow my guys to stay one-on-one and then possibly get beat over the top. So I didn't mind it at all. there were a couple plays where they had both of these guys double team, primarily the T. Higgins touchdown where he kind of ran the slanting up, and he scored the touchdown. And that's something that can never happen when you have a guy double team. And I believe that was I'm drawing a blank on the I'm drawing a blank right now. Blanked out.
On who? The touchdown?
Yeah, the touchdown. It was on.
So let's see. Are you talking about?
It was Elijah Molden. Elijah Molden at safety.
Right.
Where he just split him, and that's something that can't happen. But again, I didn't mind the too high safety look at all, just because of what the Cincinnati Bengals are.
The other thing that I found interesting in the third quarter and into the fourth was, especially in the fourth, was Joe Burrow's escapability. I mean, they called him Houdini. I was writing the note down, I'm like, Joe Burrow is escaping from everything. They were like, he's escaping like Houdini. And I'm sure you probably don't even know who Houdini is, the youngster.
I absolutely do. Wait a minute. I'm 35 now. I may look young. I know black don't crack, but I got a little age on me.
But yeah, I mean, he was just getting out of everything. And he was escaping from Bosa and Denzel Perryman and guys that had him wrapped up. And at some point I was I always get frustrated on missed tackles because it is fundamental, right? You got the guy wrapped up, bring him to the ground, stop trying to be fancy. But in that particular situation, I couldn't get too mad at them because I really looked at what Burrow was doing, and it seemed like Burrow was just out playing them, or was, keeping his feet moving, and was in that particular situation stronger than those guys, in a better position to get out of the grasp. So
listen, at the end of the day,
I don't think it was on the Chargers.
Oh, it's not, because at the end of that, we're all professionals and we're all training in the off season and we're all training in season. So it's not like just because he's a quarterback, he doesn't have the physical stature to stand up against these guys. It was just, you would not to see that happen, especially when it's Derwin James and it's a Bosa. But nonetheless, these guys are professional athletes. So him being able to escape out of some of those tackles, again, it's not something that you want to see, but you should be able to do that. And Joe Burrow's not a little guy, so let's not. No. He's not Kyler Murray back there. A little pipsqueak. But you want those tackles made. But again, these guys are pros on the other side of the ball too.
14-14 Boltman, clearly a Charger fan. We snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and so did the Bengals. They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. It was a back and forth battle in the second half, the tale of two halves, because in the first half, I mean, the Chargers could do nothing wrong. We'll get to this first half a little bit later. We still need to focus on what happened in that fourth quarter and late in the third. The 4th and 2 at 2:59, the touchdown to Higgins where he was wide open, made it 27-20 Chargers. And I wrote down, Chargers need a drive right here. And they came out and had a pretty nice drive. First down to McConkey. Dobbins had a nice run, which was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then Herbie fumbled. I was like, oh, no.
It was a freak play. He's had one turnover, an interception on the first week of the season. Yeah. He's
been like a vault with the ball. And today, the way he was running the ball was uncanny. I mean, it was exciting to watch because I felt like, here's a new aspect of the Chargers offense that we didn't expect that we had, and hopefully we can continue to use it. Herbie, the leading rusher today, 5 carries, 65 yards. He had a 30-yarder and a 20-yarder, and it was nice. It was like, this is awesome. I mean, it's, like free candy. So when he fumbled, I'm like, oh no, this is bad for a couple of reasons. In this particular point of the game, it's absolutely working. It's detrimental to the Chargers' chances to win this game, and maybe now they're not going to let him run the ball as much anymore. But fortunately, they recovered from that and were able to play some defense. I mean, in the end, as I said, what did we love about the defense? They showed up when they needed to, right? Bend, don't break.
And they've been doing that also. And I wrote that down in my notes. This entire game, I'm not going to say the entire game, but majority of the game, it was that mentality of bend, don't break. But I want to get back to Herbie and his running. Going back to Herbie in college, this was Herbert game from college, where he would use his legs more often than not. And these weren't quarterback design runs. This was a pocket breakdown. This was guys being covered downfield, being stuck in man coverage and lanes opening up. So it's not like these were quarterback runs that they were calling. He was just reading the field and taking what they were giving him and getting major chunks of yards. So I'm not necessarily sure that this was a new wrinkle, but it's just Herbie being Herbie, in my opinion, being healthy off that ankle injury and being able to be mobile like we're accustomed to seeing being.
Yeah, it is an added feature without a doubt for the Chargers, but it also feels like when he's healthy, you can maybe, scheme some of those runs in there,
1,000%.
Have him do the RPO and pull it and go. Cause he looked,
that's where he comes from. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
exactly.
you incorporate that's what he's known since he was a freshman in college.
Yeah. That's what Eugene is all about, right?
Yeah. Run them RPOs.
All right. We got to take the first break. When we come back, we'll get into some of what the receiving core did today. As I said, Herbie was the running back of the day with 65 yards, but JK Dobbins had a day as well running the ball and was crucial. But I feel like they won this game because of, you can't really sum this game up in one sentence, why they won this game. A large part of this victory was in thanks to the way the receivers played. And we'll talk about that after the break. He's Kenyon Barner. I'm Pete Fox. This is a Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. All right. Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers postcast is brought to you by Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? History, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, which hopefully we'll still have in 4 years. Do you study these things in school? Probably not. Or even if you did, and maybe it's time for a refresher. Time and technology have changed lots of things, but they have not changed basic fundamental truths about the world and our place in it. So check out Hillsdale College. Here are just a few of the courses that are available. Constitution 101, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, and a brand new documentary style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. Go to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's free. It's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. Hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best and the most exciting way to play DFS and get some real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 and up to 6 players from at least 2 teams, and you have a shot at winning 100 times your money. Run your game all season long at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So go to the website or download the app, prizepicks.com. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly off of your first play on your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNFL, $50 instantly off or added to your account, and it'll be part of your first $5 lineup. Check it out, prizepicks.com. Run your game. All right, Chargers hold on to victory here. They were up big at the break, 24-6, I believe, at halftime. And then it was all Bengals in the second half. Well, at least the third quarter, 14 points. And then they tied the game at 27 and had opportunities to grab the lead twice, but missed field goals. The Chargers defense made those field goals challenging, 48 and 51 yards. But one of the things I love, Kenyon, about this offense today, Herbie was obviously locked in early and throwing good passes. He continued to do that in the third quarter, and especially late in the game in the fourth quarter. But Ladd McConkey and Will Dissly, to me, were so locked in and so, confident today. It felt a little bit to me like Edelman and Gronk. And I know that's a different level, but it felt like when you've got those two guys rolling, McConkey and Disley, and he's like, those guys are like safety blankets for Herbert. You can stretch the field with Quentin Johnston and Joshua Palmer. And even Darius Davis was in there a few times on screen passes. But the fact is that those two guys were really sure-handed, and it opened things up for me as far as this having these guys as your check down, or even look late in the game, Ladd McConkey caught two very huge
crucial balls.
Yeah, the completion after 7 straight incompletions in the fourth quarter after the 2-minute warning, and then another to get them down into the 30-yard line.
Should have been a third. Should have been 3. There should have been 3 crucial catches. The one that Herbie overthrew him on the sideline.
Sure, right before that. Yeah, right before that. Yeah, he was wide open there. Not wide open, but he was open enough. The way Herbert was throwing the ball today, I mean, he was just locked in and confident. And, you have to give a huge amount of credit to the offensive line. They did a fantastic job today, just giving him all kinds of time. They were double teaming. What's that guy? Number 91, Alexander, I think is his name. That dude is a stud. They were
Trey Hendrickson.
There you go. Yeah, that guy. He only had 3 tackles, 1 solo, and had any sacks? No, half a sack. But he was getting after it today. So I thought I really liked what I saw from, it feels like every day or every game, Ladd McConkey is just becoming more of a professional and coming into his game a lot more. And, he's a youngster, but a solid receiver in his rookie year. I just really like I'm not surprised. We kind of all knew what we were going to get from Ladd McConkey, but he gets better every week, and he runs tight routes, and he has good hands, and that's just a good feeling to have.
It's a great feeling to have, and you have to want to credit that to Ladd McConkey and the work that he's put in, but also you got to credit that to the coaching staff of getting him ready, teaching him, preparing him, with the relationship between him and Herbert. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that's coming into play and why he's producing the way that he has. But we talked about him earlier in the season. We talked about him potentially becoming one of Herbert's go-to guy, if not his go-to guy, and we've seen that in this second half. We've seen Herbie trusting him, getting that ball to him late in the game, downfield, big splash plays, and really moving the chains for the guys.
Yeah, here's an interesting point I want to get into from a comment. Richard was at the game, not sure the conversation prior, just heading out of SoFi, great win, but we put way too much pressure on the D in the second half. They were completely exhausted. Go Chargers. Fair point. I agree too. So you look at who do you put this breakdown on? Look, they got the win. You can't really feel too bad about it. But if you want to look at this game and break it down, and that's our job here, who do you put this on to me? Because I felt like is it play calling? You have to give some credit to the Bengals. It wasn't like they just, played average and the Chargers went to crap in the second half. You have to give a lot of credit to the Bengals offense for putting the Chargers defense on notice. But I also felt like there were plenty of opportunities where the Chargers had the ball and balls were dropped, maybe bad play calls. Where was it? It was tied at 27. Touchdown pass to Jamar Chase in double coverage. That was a whole nother thing. That was the Joe Burrow directing traffic. Go over to that side of the end zone and caught Jamar Chase. But then on the next series for the Chargers, when they needed a drive, Palmer made a nice catch, and then it was incomplete punt. And you got to own that. I mean, those were bad passes, bad plays. Then they had an interception negated by a roughing the passer, which again, those are tough calls. You can't necessarily. Yeah, you can't put your finger on that and say that was an issue because it was like instantaneous where he landed on Burrow. But there was a few there. I mean, a few series later, 3rd and 8, 51-yard attempt from the Bengals kicker was no good. And then Chargers got the ball back and they went 3 and out. Palmer got hit right in the belly and dropped the ball. Yeah. So in those situations, I feel like the Chargers could have been better.
1,000%. I think both sides could have been a hell of a lot better in this game. But this third quarter for me obviously me being an Oregon guy, being tuned into them, this looked like a Oregon third quarter where you come out and you have no execution. It looks like play calling is bad. It looks like it just looks terrible. And this was a awful third quarter for the Chargers. So I would accredit really all of it to one, the Cincinnati Bengals waking up and coming to play football finally after sleeping throughout the first half. And then I would also put it on the Chargers kind of feeling like, oh, we kind of got this game in the bag. This game is over with. We're up. We have a 21-point lead at the time. So I believe they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, relaxed, and kind of, okay, this game is over with. But this is the NFL, baby. You got to play all 4 quarters. You got to play every snap, every second, because it all matters and it all counts. And today in this game, that was a prime example of you have to come and play ball all game long. You can't take any time off.
Yeah, Roderick is pointing back at the fumble, which that was huge. I mean, that was a big change of momentum in favor of Cincinnati when Herbie fumbled there, because they needed that drive.
Even then, Pete. Even then, I won't even put it on the fumble. If you go back, they start after the field goal before half. They came out punt, field goal, punt, fumble, punt. So the fumble was crucial, but they had nothing going offensively, nothing going. So you can't really go ahead.
They had 3 drives in the third quarter, 2 of which were 3 and outs, a total of 15 yards. Like, what happens there? It's a great point. You know, it seems obvious to point out, and but it's true. It happens all the time, not just in football, in any sport. I was at my daughter's volleyball matches today. They were playing teams that were, look, my daughter's team is pretty good. They went undefeated over the weekend in 6 matches. They won all 6.
There we go.
So it was nice, right? Maybe they got a little confident, I thought, because today some of the teams they were playing, they started off in certain sets like 11, 12-1. They're just rolling. And before we know it, it's a 2-point match. I was like, I was so frustrated. And then this is happening in the Chargers second half. I'm like, I've had it up to here with blowing leads. It happens across sports all over the place. You get ahead, you get confident, overconfident, too comfortable, and you take your foot off the gas. And there's no way around it. I don't know what you do. No. I mean, I'm sure the coaching staff was like, let's get out there and play this second half like it's 0-0. 0-0. Sure they weren't like, hey, dudes, game's in the book. You know, they weren't doing that at all. They were not in the locker room cruising. They were like I was with the titles of the show. Chargers cruising against the Bengals. I was getting called out at the start for jinxing them, which is not wrong at all. I think you're right in saying that the big part of the second half for them was the Bengals backs against the wall, nothing to lose. Chargers cruising like, hey, we got this one in the bag, and hopefully it's a wake-up call for them. 34-27, the Chargers hold on and get the victory in a crazy fourth quarter. Do it in the final 2 minutes. We'll get into that a little bit more. And we'll also talk a little bit more about the running game. I know you want to get into your guy, JK Dobbins, who had a day. In spite of
showing up and showing out.
Yeah, in spite of it being a game that relied on the receivers, JK Dobbins in the end gets the game winner. We'll talk about that next. It's the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app. Go get it. It gives you everything you need to make live bets all in one place on the NFL. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, like when this was going all in favor of Cincinnati and you felt as a Charger fan, like, it's okay, we're good, we got this, you could go wager on that and you probably would have made a nice little penny there. You can check on stats, view live play-by-play action, and much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com. Join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Chargers get the win today. somehow, by hook or by crook, they pull it out in the end, blowing a 24-6 lead. They scored 3 points in the third quarter to make it 27-6, and then it was all Cincinnati to tie it up at 27. They missed 2 long field goals, and the Chargers played defense after the 2-minute mark to get the ball back. 2 big passes to Ladd McConkey got them down into the red zone or close to it, and then a huge run from JK Dobbins. Now, today was a day when they threw the ball more than they ran the ball, without a doubt. And we know the Chargers and Greg Roman are about pounding the rock. They did not do that today, which I like to see. I feel like every week they take another step towards stretching the field and getting Herbert more into his comfort zone. Nothing against Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I thought they had good games, but they didn't give him the ball that much. Only 11 carries for Dobbins, 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not his normal sort of day. But didn't you think that the spread, if you will, the amount of plays seemed to work out well? I mean, they were rolling with the passing game, so they in my opinion were right to keep with it.
1000% was right to keep with it. The passing game was working all game long, but while that passing game is working, the defense is now being more mindful of the pass. So when you get late into this game, you see JK slowly start to catch his rhythm and being able to break off that last big run that sealed the game for him. But that's, this is NFL football. You got to keep chugging. When the run game's not working, you can't abandon it. You got to stay with it. You got to stick with it here and there. But when you have Herbie playing the type of game that he was playing and having the type of success, you definitely rely more on him than you would your running game. And this is just one of those games where the passing game was working more than the run game was.
But yeah, that you got to give Herbert Dobbins even more credit for staying ready, right?
Staying locked in.
They didn't give him the ball for a good portion of the third quarter, and he hardly touched it in the first. But when they needed him,
coach in college, Pete, Coach Gary Campbell, he always used to say this when it came to running the ball: "Don't count your reps, make your reps count." And that's what this game was for JK. Don't count your reps; just when they come, make sure you make them count, and that's what he did.
Yeah. Here's a good point from Richard. Justin reminds me of Andrew Luck in so many ways. Big, strong, athletic, smart, and many times unwilling to slide. If he would have slid, he might not have fumbled. Interesting point.
Hindsight is 2020, ain't it?
Exactly. This from another Rich. Love you guys. Well, we love you, Rich. Thank you.
We love you.
Love this team. So I think he loves the team more than us. Thanks for covering this. What a win. Good side of luck now. Yeah. No chargering in this one, which was nice to see. I think let's dive into some of the brilliance is maybe a strong word. Some of the confidence that was gained in the first half when Herbie was just on fire. He was throwing the ball with such accuracy and the speed of the ball. I mean, he was just throwing the ball hard, but right on right on the spot. That strike in the second to Quentin Johnston for the touchdown was perfect, 26 yards. And then he had 2 great throws, I think, just prior to that touchdown. One to Johnston, another to Disley. That was early in the second quarter, about the 11:30 mark. But they were just perfect throws. And I feel like that's probably the best he's thrown the ball all season, wouldn't you say?
Definitely all season long. This was the Herbie that the Charger fans and the rest of the world is accustomed to seeing. A guy who could deliver the ball on time with accuracy, get the ball downfield. He just had a hell of a day. He had a hell of a day in today's game, especially in that first half where he had everything going his way. It looked like it didn't matter what he did. I said it looked like he's out there playing backyard football, and these are some kids that he's just out there having his way with. But yeah, Herbie had a hell of a day. Shout out to Herbie.
Yeah, it did. The confidence that he had in the first half, along with the rest of the offense and the defense, everything was just absolutely rolling. And I'm not a big fan of these tale of two halves when you're leading, right? the mindset of tale of two halves when you're behind is one thing, and you say, hey, they put up that many points in the first half, we can do that in the second half. Let's go back out there and get into this thing. But they were doing just about everything they wanted in the first half. Again, primarily throwing the ball, but Dobbins was running the ball again, not a lot, but in crucial situations. He scored on 4th and goal, elevating over the line. That was a big call by the coaching staff, by Greg Roman. Yeah. I figured you did. I know we talked about that last week when they get up and get over the line. You know me. I mentioned last week that to me is kind of an old school play that we don't see all that much anymore. And here we've seen it now in 2 weeks in a row from the Chargers.
Right.
It's good
stuff. The confidence that the coaching staff have in these guys, especially on 4th and 2, where you could kick the field goal, you can get your. I'm not going to say clearly not guaranteed. If we look at the Bengals, you can't get a guaranteed 3 points, but that's just confidence in what you have on the field, and that not only that, it's the respect level between coach and player. So you love to see that when you can look to the sideline and immediately we're going for this, we're gonna get it too. And so to have them do that, and then JK again, my guy, I am so proud, so happy just to see him have the success that he's having and being able to play the way that he's playing. I'm going to continue to go back to that because this guy has battled through injury after injury, and a lot of injuries most guys wouldn't come back from and wouldn't look the same, but he looks better than what he did before.
Marvin thinks that Herbie got tight in the 4th quarter.
No, Marv.
Maybe in the 3rd quarter, a little bit. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that, but that's only because you're comparing to him in the first half when he was just so locked in.
Just unfair. That's not a fair comparison.
Making it look easy, right? So yeah, I mean, he got a little tight, a little bit, but in the end, he made big passes. One bad one to Ladd McConkey, but he made 2 spot-on accurate passes in crucial times when he needed to. So let's look at that and come away with the positives of this game, because he was a big part of the win. Another huge part of the win, we can't overlook the defense, which has been giving up 13 or under. They have not given up over 20 all season. Tonight they gave up 27, but still played well. I mean, huge plays from Deion Henley again. Zero is all over the field, isn't he? That dude they brought it up, and it seems obvious to mention, but I think we've talked about it multiple times. That guy closes on the ball carrier in the blink of an eye. It is
and he closes with power.
Yeah.
He closes with power. Him and Denzel Perryman match together, and I hope Denzel is okay. I hope his growing is nothing crazy, just something minor. So prayers up for him. But those two paired together at that linebacker position, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't want to put them on this level, but if you go back to Navarro Bowman in those San Francisco day with Pat, that's the type of power these two guys have when they're coming downhill, hitting these guys. You look at when Denzel Perryman hit T. Higgins and made him cough that ball up, he was down. Yeah. But just the thump that these guys come with, it's insane. Yeah. I played with Denzel, so I know how he's coming, and it ain't nothing. That's nothing you want to feel.
Derwin James, 10 tackles, 7 solo, but had that horse collar tackle, which I thought was a tad bit ticky-tack. They were talking about it. Mike brought it up on the broadcast that even pulling them down from the nameplate on the back is still horse collar. But I'm like, if you look at it, he's only got him with 2 fingers. It's
whether
not even
it's
the
2,
whole
1,
hand.
or 5. It don't matter. 2, 1, or 5. It's a penalty.
That's a rough call. I thought Derwin James got jobbed there. But how about Tuli Tuipulotu? That dude is absolutely like 6 sacks in the last 4 games. Yeah, that dude's getting after it.
And you love to see Khalil Mack on the sideline celebrating the way that he's celebrating for these young guys. And Tuli, he showed up every single week over these past couple of weeks, and he's balling out. And I hope he continues this throughout the rest of the season and get that payday that he's working for.
Yeah, Poona Ford had a nice sack. Again, Cam Hart, 5 tackles, 4 solo. 2 passes defended. Had a great game, I thought. I got to be honest. I had forgotten that he's a rookie, and that dude plays like a veteran. He left the game with a concussion today. Hopefully it's nothing major, and he'll be back there. Tarheeb still another nice game, 5 tackles, 4 solo, and 1 pass broken up. So the defense kind of went to sleep in the 3rd, part of the 4th. But in the end, I thought I was really kind of worried with that 2 deep safety look that what's his name? Chase Brown was going to run it down their throat, because there were some times where he was just getting loose. But in the end, they stopped them when they needed to.
Yeah, this is what you expect from a defense like this. It doesn't matter what the games or how the game's going, what it looks like, but when it's time to make a play, you want your defense to be able to step up and do that. And the Chargers defense has done that all season long. We kind of talked about it earlier, that bend but don't break. Yeah, they were giving up yards, but when it was time to nut up, they put up and they shut the Bengals offense up.
Justin Herbert finishes today 17 of 36 for 297 and 2 touchdowns, just the 1 fumble. Joe Burrow was 28 of 50 for 356 and 3 touchdowns. He ran it for 2 times, 28 yards, but Chase Brown led the way, 22 carries, 86 yards. Herbert, 5 carries, 65 yards. Dobbins, 11 carries, 56 yards. The leading receiver today for the Chargers continues to be Ladd McConkey, 6 catches on 9 targets for 123. That's 23. Huge.
Yeah,
it's a
great
huge day for the rookie. Will Dissly, 4 for 80. Johnston, 2 for 48 and a touchdown. But he had 8 targets. You got to put some of that on him. I know I mentioned that he dropped one. That was Palmer that dropped one. He had 2 catches on 4 targets for 23 yards, but 2 of 8 for Quentin Johnston. That's not good. Some of that's on Herbert for making bad passes.
Definitely.
But you got to split the blame there, but that's not something we're used to seeing. But in the end, Ladd McConkey, 2 big catches down the stretch there, and then Dobbins with the touchdown to give the Chargers the 34-27 win and improved to 7-3, 4-1 at home. Let's see what is on the calendar next week. It is versus the Ravens on Monday night. So we got 2 back-to-back night games. So that'll be fun. I feel like the Chargers kind of had a different attitude today. Did you feel that? Like the primetime attitude, like they showed up because it was a primetime game? I feel like they played with a different sort of intensity.
Look, that's talk all throughout the week, all week long. When you have these primetime games, listen, the whole world's going to be watching you. It's all eyes on you. There's no other games. Nobody's focused on anything else but you. This is the time where you go out and make a name for yourself. You go out and perform. You put the world on notice. And this team out in that first half, especially, they came out with a high motor and bad intentions.
Mm-hmm. You there? I think your internet went down.
I'm here. Are you here? Oh, yeah. No, I'm here. I'm looking at you. I'm like, wait, what happened?
I thought you were frozen for a second.
No, I'm here.
All right. Well, that's about all I got. I'm feeling good. Frustration, a lot of expletives shouted at the television tonight, but in the end, we come out with a win, and that feels good. It's hopefully a good confidence building win over a good team and a good quarterback, because it was a fair point coming into the game. When you look at the wins the Chargers have had recently, they haven't been against the greatest offenses and the greatest quarterbacks. So to beat a guy like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is a feather in your cap. So it feels good. 34-27 the final. Chargers now 7-3. Again, back at it. Chargers, Ravens, Monday night. We will be here right after on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. He's Kenyon Barner. I am Pete Fox. Thank you for joining us here. Don't forget, you can download the podcast wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. Have a good night. We will talk to you guys next week. Kenyon, take care, buddy. We'll talk soon. And peace out. I haven't said that in a while. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night.